A few weeks back, as I introduced the sermon series which we're now in, Matters of the Heart, I shared about being in the hospital for the first, and fortunately only time, in Monroe, Louisiana, for a rapid heartbeat. As a result of my 2 or 3 day stay, the cardiologist who saw me decided that he should perform a heart catheterization procedure. He said he wanted to rule out any blockage in my arteries that could be causing this rapid heartbeat. And so into the hospital I went a second time, but this time only for a day, as they pumped dye into my arteries so that they could trace its progress around and through the heart. Well, as it turned out, everything was just fine, but in order to give me the all clear, he felt like he needed to run this test. This was a test to see, is there anything blocking the flow of blood to your heart? I want to take you through a little bit of a checkup today to see how your heart's doing. Are you game to hang in there with me for just a couple of minutes? You know, the heart is mentioned many times in Scripture. And as we've seen in our Sunday messages, the heart can be fertile ground for some pretty undesirable plants. So, what happens if it gets overgrown? Well, kind of like my front yard a couple of years ago. It looked really bad. And in fact, it was so bad, I ended up having to simply till it under and begin again. I needed to dig it up and plant brand new seed. I think sometimes our hearts can get so overgrown with the things that we've been talking about in this series. Things like jealousy and anger, bitterness, or thoughts of people's worthlessness, our internalizing our worth based on the words people use when they speak to us. All of those things, the only treatment might make sense is to simply till it under and start again. Well, listen to how the prophet Ezekiel described it. He said, "And I will give you a new heart, and a new spirit I will put within you, and I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh." So here's God speaking through Ezekiel, telling us of an impending heart transplant. He's going to take the heart of stone, the calcified, possibly overgrown with weeds heart, and remove it and replace it. It's not that God could not take care of the heart. As it was, it's not that he's powerless to weed it, but somehow in his wisdom, he sees it that it needs more than that. It's going to have to pull the entire thing out. He's not leaving them heartless, but he's taking away the heart that has become unresponsive, since it's stone cold and hard. Maybe this is the heart that doesn't respond to God's call any longer. Ever been there when your heart's feeling somewhat chilled when it comes to God? Or maybe this is the heart that has actually turned its back on God and has attempted to wander far from him. This is the heart that he says he's going to remove and replace. The heart of stone replaced with the heart of flesh. And he's set on replacing it with this heart of flesh. And in contrast, this is the heart that's pliable. This is the heart that's moldable. This is the heart that's responsive. It's warmed with the flow of blood. It's not overgrown, but well managed, fertile, beating well. So let me ask you a question today. How's your heart? Would you describe it as cold, hard, stony, unresponsive? Or is your heart warm and soft, pliable and moldable? I mentioned a few weeks ago that to think that we can change our hearts on our own is as ridiculous as thinking that a cardiologist could take a scalpel and a mirror and perform open heart surgery on himself. Now, there needs to be someone else. And here, it's obviously God who's speaking, saying, I will give you this transplant. I'll remove it. I'll replace it. So what do you think? Are you a candidate for a transplant? Or maybe you're just needing some heart therapy. Let me encourage you today, church. As we continue in this series on matters of the heart, would you look deeply and assess your heart's condition? Maybe you don't need a transplant. Maybe it's just a bypass. Maybe there's a blockage of jealousy or some anger or bitterness that's preventing the blood flow that would enable a warm and pliable heart, something that a good spiritual stint would take care of. Then would you ask the Lord today to take care of that? I think you'll be amazed at how great you're going to feel once your circulation's improved. And this Sunday, we're going to tackle a couple of more matters of the heart: selfishness and pride. So the operating room will be open. Wheel on in. Let the great physician have a look. I look forward to seeing you again soon.